Marvel Midnight Suns looks to be the latest Marvel game to be released. The game is still on track to releasing on the 2nd of December, but the game has already been delayed 3 times, going from March to October and then to 2023. Then surprisingly went back to announce that the game will be releasing on the 2nd of December. This and other reasons ask the question, should we be worried about Midnight Suns? Hi and welcome to Remember Gamer. On today's moment we'll be looking at if we should be worried about the upcoming game Marvel Midnight Suns. In the comic world, the Midnight Suns is very interesting, with it being a group of characters that surround the supernatural. Everyone from Blade to Ghost Rider has been a part of the group in the past. The game is kind of going down this route, but the more they stray from the path, the more there is to worry about. Before we get into the story, let's talk about the obvious worry. The worry I am talking about is the multiple delays. Wait 1 second, and before we go into detail about anything, let's give this video a like and subscribe for future mumbles. At the time of recording, this game has already been delayed 3 times. Any delay would be a slight worry, even though for every Cyberpunk and Duke Nukem there is a Persona 5 and Zelda Breath of the Wild. Feels like it's going to be a 50-50 if we're going to get a good game or a bad game after these delays. The studio behind the game though could mean we will most likely get a better game. This is due to the fact that the studio in the past has delayed their games with XCOM 2, which is known by many as one of the best strategy games out there, and was delayed by 3 months. If this was the case with Midnight Suns, it would be much less worrying, but when the delay is getting close to a year, it feels slightly more worrying. We're only picking up the ice of the worries about this game, so let's take a sledgehammer to the ice and see what else there is to worry about. The comic story of the Midnight Suns might not be that well known, but basically it's the bringing together of badass supernatural characters to kind of create a mythical Avengers to take down the mother of demons, Lilith. That sounds like a great story, and unlike most adaptations of superheroes, it looks like the story will be based on that origin, and that is very much exciting. I'm not very worried about that. I think staying true to the origin could work greatly for the game. The element of the story that I'm worried about is the Hunter, one of the most boring named characters out there, and it's not even that original with Kraven the Hunter. The Hunter is meant to be the leader of all these heroes while going against Lilith, even though there's Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange and Iron Man and Captain America are all available as the leader. The character is also going to be created by us the player. This just adds to the worry. Marvel has some of the best characters created through the comic books, and with the Marvel Universe, nearly everyone has a favourite Marvel character, and it seems like maybe a bad choice for us to create a new one to take the lead. Where we have multiple characters, what will be more interesting? The Hunter could have a great mysterious backstory, but it will be difficult to care when we have characters like Spider-Man, Wolverine and Scarlet Witch all doing their thing. I'm worried about how I'm really meant to care about this Hunter. It's not that surprising that the customizable character looks to be the focus of the game, as it is developed by Fireflies Games, who have made some stellar games in the past, but they are working on already established characters here, and it's pretty worrying how this Hunter will stand out in comparison. It could work with us being forced to take the Hunter on every main mission, but it could also be a double-edged sword. On one side, it will make us care about the Hunter, but on the other side, I kind of just want to take another suit with me. Then we have what looks to be friendships. What it will mean is talking to the characters and making friends with Marvel characters and exploring a hub area called the Abbey. Looking at most of the gameplay, this looks to be a lot of your experience throughout the game. When we'll get to the combat is very much unknown, as it looks like we'll spend most of our time in this hub area. And if you've been here for a while, you'll know my stance on hub areas, making this mechanic in the game a massive worry. It looks like this will be how we get our story and lore and get more information about the Midnight Suns, what maybe could be great for players who are a basic Marvel fan and just watch the MCU. But for more experience of us, could become pretty boring. I'm worried that this will slow down the game's story massively. Not only that, but your conversations with the characters will affect how you do on the battlefield, making it not even skippable. And let's give a little pit stop at the cast of the characters, these being the Marvel characters and the Hunter. A cast in a game like this could make or break it. Looking at what they've shown, they've got some classics like Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Wolverine, Scarlet Witch, Iron Man, Captain Marvel and Captain America. It also has some lesser known characters what are part of the Midnight Suns, like Ghost Rider, Blade and the even lesser known Magik and Nico Minoru. I think they also have a Hulk in there, but has yet to be confirmed. confirmed. This is a decent cast for the base game with already 4 DLC characters announced with Venom, Morbius, Deadpool and Storm. Sadly though, it definitely feels like at least 2 of these DLC characters should have been in the base game, especially Morbius, with him being an OG member of the Midnight Suns in the comics. Then there's Storm, who could have replaced Captain America. There's nothing supernatural about Captain America. He's maybe one of the least supernatural heroes in this roster. I hear some of you argue that Iron Man would be the least magical, but he has had some magic armors in the past. Also, other supernatural beings that are missing are Werewolf and Man-Thing. It's currently feeling like the roster is maybe full of favourites rather than supernatural beasts, what the Midnight Suns is known for. It does feel like some of the major players like Wolverine, Spider-Man and Cap should have been in the DLC, and the base roster should have maybe more supernatural like the Midnight Suns are. At the minute there are 12 roster members, 13 if you include the Hunter. It's possible that these 13 characters may become a pretty meh roster. With how many beings we have in the Marvel Universe, it's surprised we're missing so many. It feels like the game is missing a lot of other characters. Werewolf and Man-Thing are only really scraping the surface. Where is Brother Voodoo, Hannibal King and even Moon Knight? If they can get a solo series, why can't they get a chance in the Midnight Suns? Marvel Midnight Suns isn't the most polished looking game. The graphics do look a bit iffy. An in-depth cast could have been game saving, but currently looking at only these 13 characters, this including the Hunter, this roster is not game saving. The friendship stuff could easily ruin the experience. This mixed with the rough graphics, it really feels like a mobile game. Looking through a lot of the gameplay what was out there, all looks slightly unpolished. It could be possible that they could fix this with stellar story and gameplay, but what we've seen, it feels like it could go either way. It could be the end game of Marvel games, or it could be the Thor Love and Thunder. Although there are some worrying elements, what we have talked about, the biggest one could be these cards. These cards will be how we fight in the game, and it looks like a generic mobile game. And it's released near enough the same time as another card game on mobile, what's just called Snap. The game does look like it's slightly inspired by XCOM, but if you wanted an XCOM version of Marvel, this doesn't feel like it, as it's worryingly replacing everything you love about XCOM and replacing it with friendships and cards. Also, really, while looking at the gameplay, it just feels like it's slightly messy. It just feels like there's a lot of different shit on the screen. We could get used to it if we're playing for a while, but at the minute it looks like a little red flag. And lastly, before we get to the hope for this game, we've got to talk about this goddamn hub area. Why has it got to be a hub area? Is this the new open world area? Is this how we walk around and collect stuff now and speak to characters? Is there no cutscenes anymore? I hate hub areas. Okay, I'm done. It's time for a little hope. It looks to be a lot of deep lore has been put around these 12 characters what are part of the roster, with you being able to learn a lot more about this new Midnight Suns thing through speaking to your new friends in the hub area. Another positive is the fallen heroes and villains throughout the game, these being characters that have fallen to the dark side, so to speak, basically turned into demons. What we've seen so far is a very metal looking Venom, but has seemingly been confirmed to be playable only in DLC. Not the best, but hoping there may be a lot more fallen heroes and villains in the game to fight against. Even though they might not be playable in the future, it's still going to be really fun fighting against them. Hopefully. It really looks like Midnight Suns is a mix of a lot of different games, including Persona, Three Houses, Marvel Snap, obviously XCOM, and that weird new Disney game, what is basically a digital Disneyland for kids. So I'm guessing Midnight Suns is basically a land for adults. In the past, games like this have been massive surprises. When bringing 2 massive genres together, we have had some amazing games. Some of the games mentioned then, like Persona, are 2 massive genres mashed together to make one of the best games ever made. But the differences are massive, and if you don't like one of them, you probably won't enjoy the game. And this is very worrying. There is a silver line though, at least the Hunter can speak. But at the moment, that's it for this Mumble. Please give this video a like and subscribe and say what you think of Midnight Suns. Are you worried about it? Are you just excited? And I will see you on the next Mumble.